Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager. This is episode 98. Quick programming note, this episode's going to be way shorter than normal. It's going to be one race, and that's going to be it. And I'm going to have to get to things very, very quickly. I'm on a time crunch. For those who have been following the channel for a long time, you're going to be familiar with Tennis Manager on the game, and I just got an advanced look at that and spent the whole day working on it. I also just got advanced copies of PCM 23 and TDF 23, and I have to do the same with those. So I am ultra busy. And then of course I also am a coach. Right now we're in the middle of track season. I'm the head coach of the track team, and we have our district, our all-stars meet coming up in a week, and I have to finalize the roster for the all-star meet, which is easier said than done with 110 kids to sort out and make determinations on, and largely by myself. The other coaching staff has not given me a whole lot of support outside of a couple of them on trying to make those decisions, and I'm kind of at the final stage of that right now. Long story short, I am out of time already. I'm down to less than half an hour to record this entire freaking thing. So let's go. Vroom vroom. Porsche has a point. We're going to quickly put that in, and there he is in 82. So he's only, I think, a single point behind now, but of course, actually, that's going to be two, because here is doing with a point of his own. He's finally made 90 for controls, so we're going to add braking for him now as well. And yeah, so I think technically we are 2 points, Porsche, behind Doohan at this point. He has almost caught up. Staff, we have some points to spend there as well for Resta and De Beer. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is the next target for us, so we're going to be in Montreal for this one. Last year was not good for us, just 10th and 12th at the course. Even then, we were only 6 seconds off the front, and then Doohan was way behind, leading the next group. There was a lot of cars that did not finish. Were we involved in any of those? I don't remember, but let's go racing.
Formula One is back in Montreal. Let's hope it's not going to be Groundhog Day. The local rodents have disrupted more than one race day here in the past. The Canadian Grand Prix is ready to kick off, and the only drama on the tracks we want to see is the best drivers in the world battling it out for a place on that podium.
Despite heavily damaged parts, Doohan and Porsche still managed to go 4th and 5th in practice. Are they even taking that into account? Lightning speed has led to a Q2 exit for Jack Doohan, who goes 11th. Porsche himself only 8th, and Verstappen has been the quickest so far. Let's see if we can do better in Q3. It has been raining. Q1 was very wet. Q2 was suddenly dry. Not sure how you go through those two phases in that short of a period of time, but we'll see what happens in Q3. After a P6 first run, we're on to that final flying lap here in Q3. Porsche, not the last car out there. He's got a few cars behind him as I was rushing things along as we're trying to go full speed. But Russell spins out. And did he impact our time? I don't know, but he obviously will certainly not be improving his time as we head towards the hairpin, essentially, other than the Wall of Champions spot, the final chicane. This will be the final turn we have to navigate, and we were certainly good through there. Porsche is purple in Sector 2. It was purple in Sector 2 until seemingly it looks like a Red Bull who came across last took that away from us, but that means we are very good in Sector 2. We get past and clean through without hitting the Wall of Champions, and how do we do towards the finish line? We're certainly going to be faster than we were, and it's not going to take much to get up to P2. For now, it's P1! Russell is the one who's still out there, and Russell spun out, so even though he went faster in Q2, there's no way he's going to improve his time, but somehow Norris does. Norris takes the pole right at the end, but that's going to be a front row start for Porsche. Big question on whether I want Doohan to go to the back and take the grid penalty. How many are going to be carrying a grid penalty? It looks like none.
It's bright and sunny as the drivers line up on the grid. Looking now at the Williams. A second place start for them today. They're in with a real chance. And looking at the second Williams car. They're in the back half of the pack, so they'll need to work hard if they want a podium finish. And we're just moments away now. this is it. We're moments away now at the Canadian Grand Prix. It's lights out.
And we start from second and from 20th. I've gone ahead and taken the penalties with doing such a bad start position anyway. Not a good start from Pourchaire, and we're caught up 3 wide momentarily. Can we at least hold these 2 off and retain second position? We do. Then we can go ahead and settle in with him. And then meanwhile, he's got not much going on. Let's see where Dewan is at and what life is bringing him. Can we make some progress in the early stages? We are on the hard compound, going hard to medium. We're the only ones. Everybody else on either softs to hards or mediums to hards. So Dewan going in reverse. Can he make progress as we have pace over the Haas? We certainly do. And we progress up a position. We need to get ahead of a couple of these guys in this early phase so we don't get caught too far behind all the champions, but we think better of it and back out of that one and hold P19 after 1 lap. Already 8 seconds behind with Pourchaire right behind pole sitter Lando Norris in the Alpine. But Dewan loses Schumacher, so being in the... No, we passed Stroll. We passed Stroll. Stroll was the one who lost DRS, and we just happened to make the overtake. And we once again make that overtake, but at 3 seconds behind, it's going to be tough to recover that, as Stroll, Latifi, and Dewan are now consistently switching, and the only 3 cars that are behind the pace of everybody else. But Russell has made it around Pourchaire. He's down to 3rd. Dewan certainly has the pace over these 2, but that gap is not good. Schumacher also now losing DRS. Giovinazzi in 14th losing DRS, and Magnussen losing DRS and then instantly dropping spots. He's down in P10. Field beginning to stretch out here on lap 17. Lap 17. We've got quite a while before we pit with Schumacher. Pourchaire. We're looking at lap 29 for the plan on that one. So far so good though on the plan to go very, very quick, as the first couple guys have pit already. Those on the soft, I would assume, are the ones that have. We've got some clean air now with Dewan in P17, but he is well behind those in front of him. And we've had a crash on track. Stroll with a spin, and he has crashed. Looks like he's made contact with the wall.
Let's have a look. It's Lance Stroll.
Love the pace we're setting though. We're going fast. Just lost it in there. Really lucked out though. Really lucked out on where that all took place. Now let's speed things up again. Ocon crashing on turn 10. He also continues on doing P17. Bottas pits. Lap 24. More cars into the pits. Schumacher's off. And Gasly comes out right in front of Dewan. We're already a full pit stop behind these guys. Marginally, roughly the same. Do it up to P8 for now, so we're not doing that bad, but again, almost everybody's pit, and we haven't. And here comes Gasly coming through with DRS. That's okay, staying with him will help our pace. But we are being challenged by Russell right now. I like holding him up. That's the front of the field. By the way, Pourchaire in the race lead ahead of Norris. But we are still battling here side by side with Russell. And it's ruining both of our races if it puts us out of DRS range, which it has not. We're 15.5 seconds. Pourchaire not in a great position there. That's looking a little worrying, but I mean, you do cut out turn 1. You do cut out that final chicane, so might not be too bad. Norris into the pits. Pourchaire all alone. Speaking of Norris, there is Norris in the Alpine. And we get around Ocon and now set P5 with Dewan. So Pourchaire in this lap. Ocon's already in the pits, and Dewan will be the last one to pit. So we're the last 2 cars out of the entire field to dive off into the pits. But at Pourchaire, his advantage is only going to be marginal, though he's got a decent advantage out on track. But that advantage is going to be gone here in just a second with the pit stop. And then Dewan's going to certainly have the pace advantage, but he does not have the track position that Pourchaire had going for him. 2.673, and we're going to come back out in P6, it looks like, but we're going to come out right there with these guys and be in the mix. Behind our teammate. And definitely in need of closing these guys down as we bring it within a second or thereabouts. Let's go standard here so these tires last, but we want to make sure we do stay within a second. Bottas is over 4 seconds behind, so you have a front 6. Subtract Doohan out of that mix. You have a front 5 that have pulled away, but we're at the tail end of that, but we've got the fresher compound compared to everybody else by a bit. How much? 5 to 8% better than the entire group. And we have a competitor crash. Doohan, we have plenty of time to decide. It's VSC. VSC is on. Is it time to pit yet? It's awfully early. It's awfully early to pit. We are 9 laps ahead. Doohan all over the back end of Verstappen, and then Pourchaire behind his teammate. Obviously, we want Doohan to let Pourchaire through at some point here, but it looks like Verstappen does not have. He does not. Verstappen is outside of DRS range, which means hopefully we can get both of these guys past him relatively soon, and then Doohan's going to pit in a handful of laps anyway. I'm not going to team orders this. Not Red Bull. Okay, that pit window is coming. It's already lap 38. I'm making good time on what I need to do, but I've got 8 minutes to finish this race up. Sorry about the pacing here. Sorry this is super short, but at least I'm still managing to get an episode in versus nothing at all, which would have been the only alternative to doing this. Bottas, meanwhile, has closed it back down to 2.3, so Norris, Russell at the head of this group are just not quite putting in the pace. Doohan barely hanging on here, and meanwhile Pourchaire not able to get around the teammate. But we do get up the inside and through turn 2, complete the overtake. That's Pourchaire up into P5. That's your front 5. That's where we need to be. And Doohan now P6, sitting behind his teammate. Yellow flag. Yellow flag. Giovinazzi with a lockup, turn 14. He's down in 14th in the Aston Martin. Schumacher, meanwhile, is 35 seconds behind the two guys. So Schumacher and Tsunoda way, way behind. But Ocon, Latifi, Stroll, Zhou also quite a ways behind. Magnussen also a ways behind, 10 seconds back. But Doohan is going to very much come back out of this outside of the points. And we're going to have a lot of work still to do when the time comes. I feel like I could actually hang on a little bit longer. Are these gaps going out? Let's go aggressive. Close this gap. I'm not ready to pit just yet. I'm looking at gaps. Is this gap growing? Is this gap growing? Because it'll make a difference if we pit later. Perez and Leclerc have come through the McLarens. At least they're just 7, 8, and 9, 10. They're not a threat. One Red Bull is first. One Red Bull is fourth. And Pourchaire certainly has an advantage that we just can't quite take advantage of at the moment. As Doohan is hanging on to DRS, we're getting a boost. And as these guys maybe slip back a little bit further, Ocon certainly is, we lose fewer positions after the pit, and we have fresher mediums. That all makes sense to me. Try to stay out, prolong a little bit longer here. But Albon, meanwhile, is somehow gaining, but Ocon is losing. And we are pulling out a bit more of a gap on Perez at the moment. It's back out to 2.8. Uh-oh. It's time, folks. It's time. We're going to go faster. That alarm was my warning. That was my warning shot. Okay, we hang on just about to DRS. And Doohan off into the pits. What's the damage? Stop's good. Just inside of 2.6. But the position, where I feared, behind this group, but well ahead of the other group and certainly in contact with this group. But you get ahead of all of them. Where are you at? P11. You're not back to the points. You're back to where we would have started otherwise. around the hairpin and already in a strong position. We're going to complete one overtake. Can we get another down the straight? I mean, we're well positioned on the Aston Martin, but he also has DRS. All champions side by side. Can we continue on through there? It's hard to see where we're placed, but as we head to turn 1, we do have position beside him. And it's 3 wide, and we're going to get squeezed out. Aggressive. There you go. Come on, you got Albon. Battery's empty. Battery's empty. That long straight makes it go pretty dang quick here, but come on, keep pushing, keep pushing. We don't have the battery, but if we have the inside for Wall of Champions, you're going to get that chicane. You're going to come out of it ahead.
That's a position gain.
Second position's an okay place to be in because you're going to have that DRS, but you've got to get into that second position. That's the hardest one to get out of the group. Here we go, 3 wide, 3 wide. And we're going to come out of it ahead. We're going to come out of it ahead. P11. Neutral. 12.5 seconds behind. Get back to standard. And we're going to keep pushing. That should keep those guys behind. Lap 49. We are 5th. We are 11th. Now just 8.5 seconds behind. But we are very much running low. And we've gotten away from those guys behind me. We have gotten them out of DRS range. We're going to ease off and save that fuel for later. Doesn't do any good to have that, to spend up all that fuel and then not be able to catch the guys later on. We're going to have to use our tire advantage to now gain some ground on them. But we don't have ERS. We don't have much spare fuel. And the tire life, it's not that great. But the pace is definitely better than those ahead. We're down to 7.8 behind. But what about Pourchaire? Let's get back with Pourchaire for a while and see if he can start making some progress through these guys. We got 16 laps to go. Might want to save it for late. It's very much time for me to walk out the door as well, so we're really going to push this on. Doing down to 4 seconds behind, though. Pourchaire? Yeah, still struggling behind, but we've got 5.5 seconds behind us, so at least we don't have to worry about going backwards. But can we go forwards? Pourchaire has made no overtakes on his own. Doohan, meanwhile, has caught up. Doohan has caught up. Lap 62. I just got to let it happen. Just got to let it happen here. Doohan up to P10. Pourchaire up to P3. Doohan up to P9.
I think there's been a lockup.
Ricardo with the lockup. Doohan going backwards again.
Alpine
Back
just
forward
advanced.
again. P7. P6 for Doohan. Can he get those guys out of range?
And there's an overtake from Williams.
And that's it here. We're up to P3, but that's all we've managed to do. Remember that P2 is the hardest one to get. P3, easier. But those 2 guys ahead of me, that's good. Hey, push. Come on, let's get that P2. Let's get that P2.
Lifting coast by
Perfect.
1 level.
Perfect. 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go. And I'm so out of time here, folks. Doohan's already back down to P7.
Oh, and Ferrari just gained
But he's
the
got
pace.
points. He's got points. And the Red Bulls are down to 4 or 5. And Pourchaire has gone through into the race lead. Defend. Not that you've got anything to defend with. Lap 68, folks. I gotta go. Lap 69.
That's your last
Lap of the race has begun. Last lap of the race has begun. And we are just 0.3 ahead of Gasly. Meanwhile, Doohan has fallen to P8 already. Aggressive.
Can push through all corners.
Leclerc and Perez have gone ahead of him. But we're in an ideal position compared to our main competitors. If we can hang on to this thing, this is going to be a good achievement. We're on to the backstretch. Around the final hairpin, push. And around the final hairpin, push, attack, overtake. Balanced. Balanced. And that's a win.
Flag.
That's a win for Porsche. We have pulled that off, but doing... he's recovered to P8. If I could have managed that better, we might have been able to get P6, but we definitely weren't getting any better than that. The two Ferraris side by side ahead of us. P1, P8, good points, and we pull away from the other teams a bit. It's a good day. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Lightning quick, but bye for now.